What if the secrets to navigating life's complexities were hidden in an ancient covenant? Abraham's pact with God reveals principles that are surprisingly relevant to modern challenges. Join us as we explore how Abraham's story can unlock a deeper understanding of faith, obedience, and the promise of a better future. God's covenant with Abraham, Genesis 12:15-17. In the early pages of the Bible, long before Moses or David, a man named Abram receives a call that would change not only his life, but the course of history. In Genesis chapters 12, 15, and 17, we encounter a divine conversation that shapes the identity of a people, a promise that spans generations, and a covenant that still speaks to our modern world. This is the story of God's covenant with Abraham. The biblical historical context. Abram, later renamed Abraham, lived around 2000 BCE in the ancient Near East. He came from of the Chaldeans, a thriving Mesopotamian city steeped in polytheism. When God called him in Genesis 12, Abram was 75 years old, childless, and living in Haran. God's command was bold and clear. Go from your country to the land I will show you. In return, God made an astonishing promise. I will make you into a great nation, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Genesis 15 deepens this promise into a covenant, a formal sacred agreement. God tells Abram to look at the stars, so shall your offspring be. But Abram still has no child. In a symbolic ritual, God seals the covenant through a vision. A smoking fire pot and a blazing torch pass between animal pieces, showing that God alone bears the burden of the promise. In Genesis 17, the covenant becomes even more specific. God changes Abram's name to Abraham, father of many nations, and institutes circumcision as a physical sign of this everlasting covenant. Abraham is promised not just a son, but a legacy. The metaphorical meaning, metaphorically, Abraham's journey is a picture of faith itself. He steps out without a map, trusting a voice he cannot see, chasing a promise he doesn't fully understand. The barren womb of Sarah becomes a symbol of hopeless circumstances, and the fulfillment of the promise through Isaac represents how faith, paired with obedience, births the impossible. The covenant also mirrors the human longing for belonging, purpose, and legacy. Abraham becomes a vessel through which God launches a story far bigger than any individual, a divine plan woven through descendants, nations, and ultimately the Messiah, modern-day relevance. In today's fractured world, Abraham's covenant reminds us of enduring hope and divine faithfulness. You don't need status, wealth, or a perfect record to be part of something great. Just trust and a willingness to walk when called. Many people still seek identity and purpose. Abraham's story affirms that we are not forgotten or random. The promise to bless all nations through him becomes a foundation of inclusion. Whether Jewish, Christian, or otherwise, Abraham's faith legacy is a spiritual inheritance available to all. In modern terms, the covenant challenges us to think generationally. What values, faith, and legacy are we passing down? Abraham didn't see the full fulfillment of the promise in his lifetime, but he trusted that God would complete it. That's a model worth following. Reflection and inspiration. Abraham's life is not perfect. He doubts, he makes mistakes, he even laughs at the idea of becoming a father at nearly 100. And yet, he is called a friend of God and a model of righteousness. Why? Because he believed. We live in an age of quick wins and instant answers, but Abraham's covenant calls us to a long-haul faith, the kind that roots deep and waits patiently. It invites us to see beyond what's visible, to trust that God still works through the unseen and the unlikely. When you feel lost, overlooked, or uncertain about your place in the world, remember this. Abraham was a wandering nomad, yet God chose him to father nations. There is no one too small for a divine purpose. A note from the channel creator. Thank you for supporting this journey. Your presence means everything. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment to help this message reach more hearts. You're warmly invited to join the Bible Echoes community, where ancient stories speak life into today. Let's move forward in faith, as Abraham did, trusting the promise ahead.